G'day guys, welcome back to StatChat Sports. It's Steve and TB on the call today, covering some more Premier League action. TB, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, mate. I'm well. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Um, I will start off and just mention we're going to slightly change the format of the pod today. Just trying to a little bit more focus on some of the bigger games and that happened during the week, rather than a bit of coverage over everything, just to sort of see how that plays out. But we'll start on the Champions League because that's where we sort of left off last episode. We had Salzburg versus Bayern and Inter Milan play Liverpool. Um, let's start on Bayern because it wasn't really how we predicted that to go. Yeah, Salzburg ended up walking away with a point. Well, points are irrelevant at this stage, but they ended up walking away with a 1-1 draw anyway.
Yeah. Look, they were pretty good value for that point. Bayern were hardly convincing. They definitely had the lion's share of possession and the shots and whatnot, but they definitely didn't dominate in the way we've probably seen Bayern do in the past. The Salzburg goal, Adamu, I think it was. Well taken goal, really nice, and probably should have had two. Bayern were very lucky to get away with a draw. Yeah, so it remains to be seen what happens in the second leg. Obviously, in Munich, it's going to be a bit tough for Salzburg to back that up. But look, they've given themselves a chance, and that's what I mean. That's all I'm sure they would have wanted. This is a David versus Goliath tie. So to go in with a shot on the return leg, they'll be stoked.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like you said, they've set themselves up to. It's almost like as if the tie hasn't been played at 1-1 there. So they do have to go to the Allianz, and it's a tough place to go. I mean, talking about Bayern's been a pretty dominant force in Europe for the last couple of years anyway. Obviously winning it not last season, the season before, but yeah, they didn't look great. Bayern, they weren't convincing at all. So credit to Salzburg. Really unlucky not to walk away with the win there, but they would have taken a draw over a loss, I'm sure. So,
yep, definitely agree on that.
Talking 2 from 2 for Liverpool at the San Siro. They love a bit of a game there. I think they were kind of a bit lucky to walk away with the win. To be honest, they were under the pump early from Inter, and it took until a substitution, Roberto Firmino, to open the scoring for them. But hey, they'll take the win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, they will take the win. Big game. I mean, the games at San Siro always are, but yeah, no, they've really shown a lot of backbone, sort of being able to back it up twice in Italy. It wasn't their most convincing, but yeah, look, they're going to take it. They're going to take a 2-0 advantage back to Anfield, and the tie's in their hands. And 7 from 7 games in the Champions League, they'll be stoked with that.
Yeah, definitely. They've certainly set themselves up in a good spot to progress into the next level. We always know Anfield's never an easy place to go for any team. So for Inter Milan to potentially, while they're facing a 2-0 deficit, is going to be extremely difficult for them. So well, it remains to be seen, but we'll see what happens. At the time of recording, this is a Wednesday for us. This morning there was 2 other games played. Chelsea played Lille, and Villarreal played Juventus. Chelsea probably quite convincing in that game. Walked away with a 2-0 win. I don't know if you saw anything on that, mate.
I did see a little bit. Yeah, judging by the stats, I don't think they had it all their own way. Lille had a decent share of possession there, but yeah, as is Chelsea way, they're pretty defensively solid back there with Thiago Silva and Rudiger. I didn't say the lineup, but I mean their defense is pretty solid across the board. Yeah, and a couple of well taken goals. Havertz played a really good game, and it was good to see Pulisic back on the scoreboard for them too.
Yeah, definitely. I like both of them. They're both good good players. So
Yeah.
Havertz is kind of making him a bit of a name of himself, Mr. Champions League for Chelsea.
Yeah, he
Seems
is,
to
isn't
show
he?
up a little bit
Yeah.
in these games. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully he can continue that. But you can probably see them progressing quite comfortably for Chelsea.
Yeah. Those two really represent the future of Chelsea and their forward line. Really, the attackers there. Yeah, the sky's the limit with both of them. I mean, Havertz has probably discovered more of his potential than Pulisic at the moment. But Pulisic seems to be a stop-start kind of guy at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Pulisic is a guy. I think most teams in the world would love to have.
Yeah, Liverpool were looking for him before he went to Chelsea, so there's potential for him definitely. Good to see an American up and about in these kinds of games as well.
Did you see the gritty he hit on what was it? Was it at Chelsea or was it in Lille in France?
Who
the
was
game?
No, I didn't.
Oh wow, yeah. It's just typical American arrogance. Sorry to if we have any Americans listening to this, but it seems to be all the same. But look, good on him. He's enjoying it, and yeah, he can do what he wants, I suppose.
Yeah, good on him. Good on him. Lastly, Villarreal, rather, and Juventus. Dusan Vlahovic.
Oh, yeah.
38-second goal, and a pretty well taken goal at that. But it wasn't enough for Juventus to see that one out.
No. Yeah, beautiful goal. It was a beautiful turn. Oh, yeah, chested the ball down, and he didn't even just a head down, swing the boot at it, and yeah, it was a beautiful goal. Didn't even
on his weak foot of everything as well.
Yeah, it just shows how much of a multi-dimensional player Vlahovic is. He's just he's going to be a star for them. I mean, he's proven in Serie A. He hasn't had the chance to prove himself in the Champions League, but I mean, on that account, he looks like he's really hitting the ground running, and yeah, he's going to be a star of the future, not just in the Serie A and the Champions League, but in the world. Just big things.
Yeah, I agree. They've definitely got themselves probably one of the top 3 young and upcoming strikers in the world, probably behind Mbappe and Haaland. So he's a class act, and that was his Champions League debut. So I mean, what better to grab a goal inside 50 seconds? So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's Villarreal were pretty good. In saying that, they'll be happy to take a goal. A draw, a 1-1 draw there. I'd say they look good value, and I mean the goal was poor in terms of Juventus's defending. He really ghosted in and was allowed pretty much a free shot. It was yeah. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be 1-1 heading in. I mean, Juventus were good for most good parts of that game, but really faltered there. I think Rabiot was at fault there for that goal. But look, it's all to play for in the second leg.
It is. Tomorrow's morning games for us here in Perth is Benfica and Ajax. I expect Ajax to walk away with a win, considering how convincing they were in the group stages for them. They won all their games as well, I believe. But probably the more exciting game is Atletico and Manchester United. And there's a certain Manchester United player who definitely loves to come across Atletico Madrid in the Champions League final. Not the Champions League final, but just the Champions League in general. I think we all know who we're talking about there.
I'm at a blank. Who is it?
Yo, okay, you're not sure.
Oh, wait. Sorry. The old CR7. Sorry.
Yeah. he certainly loves a goal against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League.
He does, and yeah, he loves to spruik about it too. That's why he's one of the greatest. You can't count him out. You can't count the team that he's on out. As long as he's on that pitch, they're always a chance.
Yeah, it is actually. They are, in fact, the opponent that he has scored the most goals against in the Champions League is Atletico.
Yeah,
So
wow.
they're probably
Yeah.
kicking themselves.
Yeah.
But as we've touched on, Man United in the Premier League before, they're just that sort of team at the moment. Really, it's just they're not quite hitting the strides. And to be fair, I don't really think Atletico are all that great this season either. They've not quite hit their strides, but hopefully Suarez can bag a couple. I'm sure he'd
Yeah.
be more than happy to bag a few against Man United. So,
Oh, yeah. Yep, for sure.
yeah. So those are the two games this morning. It remains to be seen. We'll touch on them next episode because they would have been played by then. So, but yeah, a lot to play for in the second leg of the Champions League for a lot of those sides.
Yep. Sure.
Okay, mate. Premier League, the first biggest game of the week, and it was an unbelievable game to watch. It was Manchester City and Tottenham. Now, last episode, I touched on how Tottenham are Manchester City's bogey team. They've done them. They've done it to them again. They've done the double this season over the champions. So at the start of the season, I suppose it could have been anyone's guess because it was the first game of the season. But going into this game, you wouldn't have really had Tottenham to win, but they did it in quite dramatic fashion.
Yeah, it's offside goals. There was everything in that game. Tottenham. I think we mentioned last pod that Conte is a big game manager.
Mm.
He's right. He's always in there in a big game. You got Conte behind you, then you're always in with a shot. And yeah, look what happened. They've created a title race. So
they certainly have. Yeah.
What we thought was gone is it's back on. It's people need to be tuning in again because I think this title is far from done.
Yeah, certainly. Was it Tottenham's sort of perfectly executed game plan, or was it more so City's lack of conviction in front of goal? They had plenty of shots, but I believe they only had like 3 of them on target or something along those lines. But it wasn't the City we're used to seeing. Would you put it more down to City, or would you put it more down to Tottenham's defensive work?
I'd put it down to City's bad play in defence. I think, having looked at a few of those goals, I think they really left a lot to be desired. In defence. The first goal, Ruben Dias was just Son slipped through the offside trap there, and he was out and away, and just couldn't get back to really affect the contest, and ended up sliding the pass over to Kulusevski. And I mean, it was a pretty nice nutmeg too, that goal. But and then was it Cancelo? Who was it? That was
it was Cancelo, and that's the
for the second goal.
And that's the second part to the question. Is I agree. I put it down to the fact that City sort of defended poorly that game. I don't think even if Diaz decided not to bring an offside trap there, Son was gone. He was well on the shoulder, and he's so much faster than Diaz. It's not funny. So I don't think that would have made a whole difference in the grand scheme of things. But a lot of fire was thrown towards Cancelo for the way he defended, not only for the second but for the third goal as well.
Yeah,
he's brilliant going forward, but he was all over the shop defensively. For Harry Kane's first and Tottenham's second, he just completely let him run past him. He checked the shoulder, he was there, and it's almost like he's gone, it's not my job. And he's just waltzed past and ended up with a free header.
Yeah, I mean, you can afford to give those chances to teams down the bottom of the table. But you're talking about, he's not the best striker in the league this year, but in terms of the last 4 or 5 years, he's probably the best striker in the league, bar Salah, or a best attacker. I mean, you just can't let that happen, especially in a big game. Kane's just he's gonna rip you apart. And I mean, Kane should have had 4 goals.
He could have
in that game.
100%.
There was the offside. I mean, not that you should have that, but I mean, he buried that chance. I mean, if Kulusevski hadn't gone offside, then there's the third, there's the hat trick, and then there was the one-on-one with Aderson that he
it was a brilliant save.
Oh yeah, I mean, he should have buried that. That was more convincing than the offside goal. But I mean, and that's where I'd probably put it downward to City, just affording Kane so many A-grade chances.
Yeah, definitely. Like at the same time, we can't take anything away from Tottenham and their forward line.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, we've seen the amount of times we've seen Harry Kane and Son link up, either Kane assisting Son or Son assisting Kane. We've seen it plenty of times before. In fact, we've seen it 36 times now, which ties the record for the amount of times a pair of players have sort of contributed goals to each other, and they join pretty high hierarchy in the form of Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba.
Yeah, Chelsea royalty. So it just shows you where they are now. I think in that list, in the top 10, Kane features with another. I mean, he's gone now. He's in the Premier League, but gone. But Christian Eriksen, he formed a formidable partnership with him as well.
He did.
But yeah, look, it just shows, like I said before, Harry Kane, you can't. He's lethal. You just can't afford to give him the chances and the space that City afforded him, and this is what happens. Convincing or not convincing, but a lead up atop the table just evaporated.
You mentioned the fact that this is now well and truly blown the title race open. They're only it's only 3 points, I believe, or is it 6 now?
It's 6 with a game in hand.
6 with a game in hand.
Yeah.
So within the space of like 2 weeks, their 12-point gap at the top, and it looked like they were running away with it, has just disappeared. So it has well and truly blown the title race open. And I believe at the time of recording this, I believe tomorrow morning Liverpool play Leeds in their catch-up game. So by the morning, Liverpool would have played their catch-up game, and then on the result of that, we could be looking at a 3-point gap at the top.
Yeah, look, the good money's on Liverpool to get the 3 points there. And yeah, look, 3 points and all the pressure's on City. I mean, they almost had this done and dusted, and probably 6 to 8 weeks ago, we were calling it a done deal. It was all over. And we're here now, and it's game on.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Liverpool, their game against Norwich wasn't all that convincing. I suppose they had a little bit of a shaky start, obviously going down 1-0 to Norwich, given there was not a lot Alisson could have done in that there, but they had to get the win to keep the pressure on City. Liverpool played before City, so in the grand scheme of things, at the end of the day, this pressure was probably put more on City, but they still had to get the job done.
Yeah, the first goal going Norwich's way definitely didn't help Liverpool's cause. We've seen over the years that, they get very jittery, I think. If they're not scoring first, if they're not scoring early, it becomes tense, and Anfield goes. It tends to turn pretty tense there. Yeah. The support can really dwindle, and I mean, by the time the first goal was in for Liverpool, the support was back up. But yeah, I mean, Liverpool really shouldn't have been in that situation. That Tsimikas chance in the 5th minute. I mean, that should have been buried. That
should be.
Yeah, that's. I suppose that's a left back kind of finish. It's not a lethal striker finish, but still, that was a gilt edged chance. Like, got to be burying them, but lucky it didn't come back to bite them.
Yeah, definitely. And once they got that first, the table sort of turned quite quickly. Liverpool definitely took control over that game again. Salah gets his 150th for Liverpool, which is a big milestone for him. And Luis Diaz gets his first for the club. That was a well taken goal.
It was, yeah. It was a nice little dink over the keeper there. It's nice little pass from Henderson as well there. Got to give credit to him as well. He found him perfectly on the run and not just put the ball in front. And I think it was one touch from Diaz and a little dink. And yeah, look, it could be the start of something pretty special, I reckon, for Diaz and Liverpool. He looks to really have hit the ground running there. He should have had an assist too, Diaz. Really unlucky that Mane couldn't have buried. It was after that first goal there, Liverpool should have put probably another 4 behind Norwich. And Mane's chance that Diaz almost had the assist on was one of the better chances too. So, yeah, Diaz is doing all the right things. You can't ask any more of someone who's pretty much only arrived at the club a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he looks like he's slotted in perfectly, and looks like he's been there for years already. Funnily enough, he doesn't speak a word of English yet, so he can't even communicate to Jurgen Klopp properly. They're having to do the communication through Pep Guendouzi and speak Portuguese to each other. And it's funny because I could be completely wrong here, but it's just sort of what I've noticed so far is in most of the games, in the few games that Diaz has played, he started with Tsimikas behind him. So I wonder if that is more of a communication thing rather than Robertson, because obviously Robertson can't speak Portuguese and Diaz doesn't speak English and can probably not understand Robertson's Scottish anyway. So
it's a bit of an
not
the easiest one. Of not the easiest of accents to understand the Scottish one. So yeah, look, it's you're probably right there. It's good connection there. I mean, Robertson and Diaz have played together and look good together, but yeah, in terms of acclimatizing to the squad, then yeah, it's probably a good way of getting him used to the communication side of things.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it hasn't taken him long at all to get his first goal and to really stamp his authority and impact that Liverpool side. But I want to touch on another player not from Liverpool. We're moving on, but I want to touch on Jadon Sancho because it looks like he's finally arrived and he has a little bit of Dortmund flair about him in their game against the Leeds. It was a 6-goal classic, a real Premier League classic. The weather was atrocious, torrential rain at halftime. You know, they're kicking the ball, they're sliding in tackles, and there's water everywhere. So it's just one of those real good games to watch as sort of a neutral perspective. But on Jadon Sancho, he played out of his skin.
Yeah, I think Jaden Sancho, he's with the departures of Martial and Greenwood for different reasons. I think he just feels a bit more free in that role. I think he's not looking over his back. He's basically said, or they've said to him, look, this spot's yours, go and take it. And he's playing with, ultimate freedom. I think that's 4. He's contributed to 4 goals in his last 5 games.
Okay.
And he's really taken it by the scruff of the neck. 2 goals, 2 assists for the last 5 games. So yeah, we are seeing the old Dortmund Sancho, who was right up there for, was it the Golden Boy Award? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he would have been. Yeah.
If he didn't win it, he was very close. And look, he's slowly but surely justifying that $75 million price tag.
Yeah, there was a bit of a price tag on there. You could be on the money.
Yeah, it's 70, 80 million. I mean, either way, he still hasn't justified it, but he's on his way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, something's definitely happened there for him to get a little bit of confidence behind him. He's playing more with the ball at his feet, and you know he's doing his skills. He's nutmegging players. It looks like he's having fun out there. So props to him for turning it around. He's a good player, and I enjoy watching him. So, and it kind of seemed like he was going to be one of those Manchester United signings that had just completely flopped. but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he started to prove everybody wrong. So hopefully he continues on that streak.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's just the confidence he's been given by not having to think about who's behind him. I mean, yeah, competition can drive a player to play better, but it can also keep the player looking back over their shoulder, thinking, "Oh, if I don't do this right, if I don't do this well enough, I'm gone," and it drives players to do silly things. So
Yeah,
I just think with that freedom, he's been able to express himself a little bit more, and we can see what Jadon Sancho is really about.
yeah, definitely. Look, on the topic of Manchester United winning that game against Leeds, and also Tottenham picking up their 3 points against Manchester City. What I want to move on to is the top four. I believe we briefly touched on this before, but it's at a point now in the season where look, that top four spot is really up for grabs for about 5 different teams. Obviously, we've currently got Manchester United sitting in fourth, West Ham are fifth, Arsenal, Wolves, and then Tottenham in that order. There's plenty of teams in there that haven't played as many games as everybody else. You're looking at Arsenal or Tottenham have both only played 23. Manchester United and West Ham have both played the full 26. Wolves have only played 24. Looking at the side's next 5 games, at the end of the next 5 games, who do you see occupying that fourth spot?
Look, United, Manchester United, West Ham, and Arsenal all have Liverpool. So I don't want to be biased, but they're probably not going to get points there. I'd probably say, yeah, I don't know how many. If we're talking in a couple of weeks, I'm not sure when the games are scheduled for, but Arsenal obviously have catch-up games to play in amongst there, possibly. I still think they're the favourites for that fourth spot. I think their run of form has been really good. United, obviously, probably one of the favourites there. They've got a stronger squad than West Ham. I can see West Ham just dropping away a little bit, just dropping a few points where the bigger teams might not. Yeah, look for me, it's Arsenal are in that fourth spot for me, but I don't think Wolves will have enough. I think they'll finish probably there or thereabouts. They're playing some of the best football going around form wise.
Yep. And enough to get maybe the Europa League or maybe just conference.
Yeah, look, that's really hard actually. You look at Tottenham and they just beat City.
Yeah.
So it's the race is it's really hotting up, and that's what I can see West Ham probably taking a dip.
Mm-hmm.
To me, all the teams around that 4 to 8 spot just feel a bit better than West Ham at the moment. I think they're grinding out results, whereas teams like Arsenal not playing their best, but they're getting more convincing wins. And yeah, Wolves, Tottenham. Yeah, look, Arsenal, United. I'm going to say Wolves would be my 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I see what you're saying. You got to take into consideration as well. Out of those 5 teams, Manchester United and West Ham are both still in Europe, so they've got those games to throw around in the mix as well. And I believe the other 3 have no cup competitions at all, but not even FA Cups. So they've got more time to sort of rest, et cetera, et cetera. I don't see United occupying that 4th spot. I think if you look at their next 5 games, they probably have the toughest fixtures out of everyone. They've got to go to City, they've got to play Tottenham, they've got to play Liverpool, and Leicester as well. I'd say that's probably the toughest run of fixtures out of the 5 sides. I would probably agree with you, to be honest, and say Arsenal. They're only 6 points behind, but they do. Sorry, not 6 points. They're 4 points behind. I was looking at the wrong side. They're 4 points behind, but they do have at 3 games on United. So and the current form that they're in, there's probably a good chance that they could pick up enough points to hold that 4th spot. Like you mentioned, Liverpool is in there for a handful of those sides. That's never an easy game, especially considering they're in a race for the title. So they're going to kind of come across a Liverpool side that are going to be fighting for every scrap of points that they can. So yeah, I would agree with you in the sense of Arsenal, and I can see West Ham dropping off as well. Also, they're playing some brilliant football in the Europa League, so that could potentially become their main focus. Who that remains to be seen, but I don't think Wolves quite have enough there. Likewise for Tottenham, so I'd say it would be Arsenal, Manchester United, and maybe West Ham. But it's certainly heating up. I haven't put Chelsea in there, but do you think they're far enough ahead that they don't need to be in the mix for a 4th spot? Do you reckon they've got 3rd place sort of taken already?
Yeah, look, I think they do. I don't think it's I don't think there's much of a debate there. I think they're strong enough that they may not be winning 4, 5, 6 games in a row. They're going to drop less points. There's top 4 here just seem to cough up a game here and there, where I think Chelsea are not at the level of City and Liverpool, but they're somewhere in the middle there. They're just a little bit more consistent, possess a little bit more quality all around the park, a deeper list, deeper squad. And it could get close, but I still think 3rd is theirs.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree. They're just less likely to drop those extra points and to see them drop any further. But again, this could all change in 3, 2, 3, 4 weeks' time. They could be right there in contention for 4th, and we could be discussing a potential new 3rd and 4th rather than just 4th, basically. So that is the beauty of the Premier League, really.
Yeah, I think with Chelsea, I mean, if there were to be injuries to any of these other teams, major injuries, they don't have the depth to fill in. I mean, we've already seen with Pogba at United, they really suffered without him. I mean, if they were to lose Fernandes, I mean, they'd really suffer. Arsenal, someone like Emil Smith-Rowe, who's been doing really well for them this season. I think I'd struggle without a player like that. West Ham as well, Bowen, Mikel Antonio. Who do they have as backups?
Yeah.
Whereas Chelsea seem to have a guy. I mean, yeah, if Chelsea were to lose N'Golo Kante, like, he's one of the best in the world in his position, and he's going to struggle. They're going to struggle a little bit, but they've got players that can slot in and play a role in the meantime. I mean, Lukaku isn't always getting game time. They've got players in positions there that can slot right in. They've got options. I don't think the others do.
Yeah, no, agreed. They certainly have enough there, definitely.
Yeah.
At the other end of the table, the relegation battle is starting to heat up. It's becoming quite interesting. I've got 7. I've got 7 teams on the list here that I would potentially put in as relegation candidates. Obviously, working our way from the bottom, we've got Norwich, Burnley, Watford, Newcastle, Everton, Leeds, and Brentford. Is there any change? Do you see any change to the current bottom 3, or are we just stonewalling saying those bottom 3 that are there present are not good enough, and they're probably going to stay there?
Look, if there's one that's going to get out for me, it's probably Norwich for me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Saying that, I mean, Weghorst has been a breath of fresh air for Burnley. He could be solely responsible for dragging them out. Look, I think that's the three there. I can't see Newcastle dropping back in. I mean, it would be an absolute ball over if Everton dropped into there, though they weren't exactly. They were pretty awful against Southampton, who are comfortably mid-table this season. Leeds, I just don't see it happening. And Brentford, look, I think there's enough points there that they'll scrap a couple of wins. Yeah, I think they'll get enough points before the end of the season. So they've got a little head start from now on.
They do, yeah. They got off to a better start than the rest of those sides, and that's probably at the end of the day what could keep them up. The reason I had them there is just for the simple fact that their run has been terrible as of late.
Yeah, they've been poor.
Yeah. So
and that's probably a good reason to put them there. I mean, who's to say that they don't snap out of that run? Who's to say that it doesn't keep going and they do just free fall into the relegation zone?
Definitely. I mean, Christian Eriksen is still yet to come in. He played a friendly for them the other day, and I believe he got 2 assists. So that's positive for them. Once he eventually comes into the first team, we'll have to wait and see what sort of impact he can have there. But my personal opinion, I certainly can't see Norwich coming out, unfortunately. Look, they might not finish rock bottom, but I don't think they'll make their way out. Burnley, for me, are potentially the only ones with a shout, just because they've got a handful of games in hand. They've only played 22. So
no, that's a fair point.
Yeah, and they're only, what's that? They're 5 points from safety, so that's just 2 wins. Look, for anyone at the bottom, a win is hard to come by. So it's easy to sit here and say, oh, they need 2 wins and they're out. But look, the form of the other teams around them, Newcastle, they've been really good. They drew on the weekend, which is probably not a bad result for them. Everton, a disappointing loss on the back of a really impressive win. So again, they're right back there in the mix for me. Probably last week I would have said probably not because of their win against Leeds, but they didn't show enough against Southampton. So they're right back in the mix there for me. So
looking at Everton's next 3 games, Manchester City, Tottenham, Wolves, they're taking no points from that.
You wouldn't think so.
So, and then you got Newcastle on the other hand. Have got Brentford, Brighton, Southampton. I think they can get 4 out of that. I think 4 is easy out of there. I think they beat Brentford. I think they take points with Brighton. And then they've got Everton in 5 games. 5 games from now. And I think that's going to be huge to decide both of their fate. I mean, they've got more games after that, but in terms of building pressure, table pressure, and that's going to be an absolute 6-pointer.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make a good point there about the upcoming games for those sides. I mean, look, Norwich have, on paper, you could say a 50-50 chance to pick up some points. They've got to play Brentford. We're really throwing Brentford into the deep end here because they're playing poorly, but there's a chance for that. There's definitely a chance for some points there. Likewise with Leeds, but I can't really see them picking up points in the other games. So they're probably not going to move very far. I can't see Burnley picking up any points against anyone besides Brentford again, potentially. So, yeah, there's not a lot of room for those 2 teams in particular.
No, I agree.
Oh, well, we'll have to come back on that. Certainly towards maybe with 5 games to go, we'll touch on these again just to see what sort of changed and see the run home for all of these sides. But we'll end it off as always with our team of the weeks. It was another difficult week really for our picks. But as per custom, we sort of seem to pick a few players here and there similarly. So why don't you kick us off?
Look, a player we both chose, and for good reason. He's becoming a pretty household name in our team of the week segment. It's our man Jose Sa, sorry.
I think it's no surprise.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about him in the last pod as being where does he sit in the top 5 keepers in the league? And I mean, we all struggled to really put him sort of 4th, 5th. Where does he slot in? Well, I don't know. He's got to be right up there. I mean, on current form, he's top 3.
Yeah.
Maybe not overall, but on current form, he's. Wolves are conceding a fair few shots on target, really, and Jose Sa's he seems to be making at least 4 or 5 saves a game, and in this game he made 6 saves and only let in the one, and Wolves 2-1, another 3 points in the European football hunt.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see where Wolves would be sitting right now without Jose Sa, because like you said, they've, as good as their defense is, I'd say probably 95% of that comes down to the brilliance of Sa, because like they are conceding a lot of goals. A lot of shots on target. So without him there, God, who knows where they would be in terms of goals conceded and where they'd be then sitting on the ladder. They certainly wouldn't be in contention for a top 4 spot, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I mean, they've struck gold here with Jose Sa, because I mean they had a pretty handy keeper before he turned up in Rui Patricio. He was pretty decent in his own right. So to not let it unravel and to be able to chuck in Sa and for everything to keep going the way it is, it's been a lucky break for Wolves.
Yeah, it has. It has. We both picked the same fullbacks, Valentino Livramento and Kostas Tsimikas. It was a difficult pick, to be honest. I almost contemplated having 3 centre backs in there, but for the fact for Livramento that he bagged himself an assist and a clean sheet, and Tsimikas purely went in for me because of an assist. I've really struggled to find some reasons, and anybody else, in fact, to put in there over them. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, look, it was tough, and I mean Tsimikas as a whole, he threatened. I mean, obviously, I pay a little bit more attention to the Liverpool games than I do maybe all the others, but yeah, no, he was a threat down that left side. Linked well with Diaz, and yeah, I mean, defenders getting assists always a feature in my eyes for a team of the week.
I'm intrigued to hear your centre halves.
Yeah, look, I went definitely diving for one of them, deep diving. I took on Craig Cathcart. He was really good for Watford. They conceded a fair few shots, but not many on target. They were really able to push their opponent away, and it really that come down to their centre backs really just dictating the shot quality that was put up against them.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick.
My second was Craig Dawson, West Ham. Look, they didn't get the win, but they did. I mean, that's back-to-back games with goals for him, and for a centre back, you can't ask for a hell of a lot more. And that's why he gets my vote.
Interesting. I picked Antonio Rudiger and Thiago Silva, a Chelsea duo there. Obviously, clean sheet for the both of them. Rudiger had that absolute thunderbolt clatter off the crossbar. I'm not sure if you saw that. That would have been goal of the season, probably right there, tied up
Yeah, I
if
did
he'd have
say
hit
that.
that.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
he was dominant all around the ground in terms of winning his aerial duels, winning his tackles. So he went in for me, and likewise with Thiago Silva, he was voted the Budweiser King of the match on the Premier League website. So there's got to be a reason there. So that sort of helped me with my pick.
Yep. No, I definitely agree with those picks. Chelsea were rock solid down back, and yeah, really afforded Palace nothing at all.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I have chosen a 4-4-2 formation this week for my team of the week. You've stuck with the traditional 4-3-3, but we have only really got one midfielder who we both chose. We touched on him earlier. It was Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, nah, fully deserving of the pick there. He really seems to have found himself in that United squad. Really taking that role and owning it now, which is good for United supporters and the league alike. I mean, everyone loves to see good football, and he's definitely providing it at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. But who else did you have in there?
In my central midfield spot, I had Ruben Neves. Continuing the Wolves theme, I always seem to be putting Wolves players, sorry, in our team. I don't know why. It's probably the bias coming out. I do like Wolves. But yeah, look, Neves creeps in. It was really hard to find midfielders this week, I feel. And yeah, look, well taken goal. Both goals for Wolves come out from outside the box, I'm pretty sure. And I mean, Neves is no stranger to bagging in goals from out the box.
No.
And yeah, he's one of the best doing it at the moment. So he gets a nod there. And a guy I touched on earlier for Arsenal has been really important. And once again, really important was Emil Smith-Rowe. He's probably not a conventional pick. But yeah, he's really doing things for Arsenal at the moment, and he's going to be a big reason that they could possibly make the top four.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Smith Rowe. I must admit, I was surprised at the pick. I didn't see it coming, but I fully respect the decision. There's nothing wrong with the pick at all. But yeah, look, he's a huge part of their side. So and like you said, he'll go a long way into helping them eventually finish top four if that does where they end up. There's probably two players that you can, obviously the squad, but there's two key players for Arsenal that you could look at this season. One of them being Emil Smith-Rowe, and the other one being Bukayo Saka, who is my left-sided midfielder in my pick team of the week this week. It was a really well taken goal from him. He's starting to pick up, a few goals here and there. He's not just there to make an appearance anymore. He's looking to take the game into his own hands. Really, him, Smith Rowe, and Odegaard, they're all sort of starting to, take hold of the games by the scruff of the neck and take it to some of these older guys. They're all really young and less experienced than the rest of the players in the Premier League, but you wouldn't think so looking at the performances. So Sacco goes in for me. My other two midfielders was Jordan Henderson and Bruno Fernandes. It's probably the third time I've picked Fernandes in a team of the week pick, but I mean, again, deserved a goal and an assist for him. He went a few weeks there where he was a little bit quiet, but right back into the swing of it for him. He goes in there for me, and Henderson. It was a really tidy little assist for Diaz, and just overall, it was just a top performance for me from him. So he goes in there for me.
No, very solid picks. I obviously like the Hendo pick, and yeah, Fernandes is quite a few weeks, but yeah, he seems to be back. And when United are purring, I wouldn't say they're purring, but look, when they're putting 4 goals behind a team, generally Fernandes has got a hand in it in some way.
Yeah, he does. Definitely. Obviously, being the 4-4-2, I've got a front two. You have a front three. We have picked the same striker. It's a bit of a no-brainer, really. Got to be Harry Kane, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the bloke should have had 4 goals.
Yeah.
We touched on it before. He's just the offside goal, unlucky. The 1-on-1 should have scored 2 well-taken goals anyway. And with the two headers. And look, there was no, for me, in a 4-4-3. Look, your other striker and yours, I really wanted to find space in my team of the week, but look, I just couldn't.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough pick this week for forwards. Harry Kane is probably the absolute only shoe-in for me. Bit of an audition, perhaps, for him in front of Pep. Either you could look at it that way, or you can look at it kind of like a message to the Tottenham owners saying, "This is what you don't want to lose right here."
Yeah, I think there was a press conference from Pep, and he mentioned that City went in for, or inquired and made contact with Tottenham about 4 times in that transfer window, and that's huge. I mean, City were clearly after him. He was their number 1 target, and what was probably one of the most crucial games apart from when City take on Liverpool in April, I think it is.
Yeah.
Kane's gone and ripped up 3 points from under their nose, and the title race, what looked sewn up, is back on.
Yeah, for sure, mate, for sure. Your wingers, I know you've got another Tottenham player in there.
Yeah, look, we could have gone with 3 with a full Tottenham front line. Such was their class in front of goal, and the way they all work together, contributing assists for each other. So honourable mention to Kulusevski with a goal and the assist. But I have gone with Heung-min Son, who was just unplayable at times. Just the way he moved off defenders, and he's just he puts a ball on he just puts it anywhere. There aren't many in the Premier League that do it like him. The movement and the way he can pick a pass, and he had to be there for me. I mean, for me, that was a no-brainer. I just, the way those two, their telepathic, Kane and Son, their telepathic connection just really shone in that game. And he had to be there for me. And like I said, Kulusevski could have been there, but Salah for me. I know it was the milestone goal, the 150th goal for Liverpool there, and he's just, what more can we say? He's going to shatter records for Liverpool. I think he's already in the top 10 for Liverpool in terms of goals scored, and he's only been there. Is it 5 years now?
Yeah, it could be about 5 years. Yeah,
4 or 5 years. Yeah, and fingers crossed that contract gets signed and he stays around for another 5, because I think we'll see him near the pointy end pretty soon. He's got a long way to go to pass guys like Ian Rush and Aldridge, but it's, who knows where he'll end up. But yeah, look, well taken goal against Norwich. Almost made a bit of a balls up of it. I thought he should have hit it a lot earlier, and he managed to sell some candy to 2 of the Norwich defenders, which were in front of the ball. But look, he got his goal almost at a second, a really neat second, which just curled past the post, and he was really on his game, just an absolute menace all day.
Yeah, I like the picks, mate. I like the picks. Just quickly back on Kulusevski, do we perhaps have to take just a very small piece of humble pie out of this? Because I know it's only one game, and let's not get too carried away, but we did we did both pick Kulusevski to be our flop of the transfer window, and he has played a brilliant game.
Yeah, look, that's not great. That's not our best call. But look, yeah, I'll wait that humble pie. He was great, and as Liverpool supporters, he's done us a bloody big favour. Yeah, look, I'm sorry if you're listening. Yeah, look, it was really good.
Yeah, no, it was, mate. It was, and I'll share that piece of pie with you as well because
Yeah,
we were in the same boat. So,
maybe
rounding.
maybe we'll learn.
Maybe we'll learn
not to make such outlandish calls one day.
One day. But for now, let's keep making them.
Yeah, let's do it.
Very good. To round off my team, as you mentioned, an honourable mention for yourself. However you pronounce, I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name, but we're talking Weghorst. That's how you even pronounce his second name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, look, a goal and an assist for him, and that was a neatly taken finish. That was just one of those goals you could watch over and over again. And as you mentioned earlier, he could be the one to pull the strings for Burnley and pull them out of the relegation battle. But particularly this week in particular, he was massive for him. But he gets an easy nod in for me.
Yeah, it's interesting with Burnley losing Chris Wood. It's kind of opened up a spot for him there, and it may turn out to be a bit of a blessing in disguise, possibly, for Burnley. I mean, with the form he's playing in, and the win on the weekend, 3 valuable points, games in hand. Who knows? I mean, if he keeps that form up, could well be looking at Burnley in the Premier League in 2022-23.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I think that just about closes us off for this episode. Thanks everyone for joining. If you've got any feedback or any thoughts on any of the topics spoken about in today's ep, feel free to leave your comments. We love any and all interaction that we get on the channel. We'll be back same time next week. Premier League action doesn't stop. Games coming left, right, and centre. So there's plenty there to talk about. TB, thanks for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure as always.
Always, mate. Thank you very much.
See you all next week.
See ya.